So you now have taken some time off from fighting because of concussions.
That's right.
And tell me about that.
So yeah, it was actually, I think you were at my last fight. It was, I fought Marc de Bonte, you know, rest in peace. I remember we talked about
what happened to Marc? Did they find out what happened to him?
I don't know. A lot of the stuff is coming out is in Dutch and Dutch newspapers, and I'm asking all of the Dutch community kind of what's happening, and they don't really know. You hear different things in rumors, but I don't want to listen to rumors like that. I don't want to hear it from like a concrete source. And
he just went missing, and then they found his body.
Then they basically found his body. Yeah. Wow. So why or who knows, but
he was a great fighter,
bro. He was amazing.
Excellent fighter. You know, and he was another guy, but boy, you know, you look at him, he looked like a computer programmer.
Yeah.
You know?
Seriously.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's interesting how looks can be so deceiving. It's a super high level guy.
Yeah, but that was my last fight, and from there it was actually a really tough. I never really opened up about it, to be honest with you, and it was a very tough experience. You know, you got to think, I just win the world title. I'm going home to Canada, which my concussion was pretty bad where I shouldn't have even gone on a plane home. And next thing you know, I'm at home and just the concussions got really bad. I had to be, you know, hospitalized for a few days. And I was in a dark room for 3 weeks, man. I could not get out of a dark room for 3 weeks. I couldn't walk. I guess something with the concussion started causing some nervous, nerve damage.
Dinging.
That could be me.
One of us.
Yeah, so it started causing some nerve damage in my back. So I was like in a bed, man. Couldn't even look out. I had a little red light on my phone charger. It was too much.
Really?
Yeah, it was bad, man.
The red light on the phone charger would hurt your head.
I couldn't even look at a thing. So it was at that point, it was like, man, it's like I just win this world title. And it was a really tough time. And this is actually the first time I've really opened up about it. But it was a tough experience. And being in that, you know, down state where you're basically in a dark room for 3 weeks, doctors were just, you know, handing me over a shit ton of Percocets and Oxys to kind of deal with the pain. And it was a tough time, man. And it really, I think what was the hardest was what was happening mentally. I'm sitting there being like, man, I just won a world title. I want to get back in there. I want to, you know, do so much in this sport. And my goal was to be a legend in this sport. But, you know, and then it got to the point I saw my family and how much it was affecting my family. And that's when I decided that, you know what, let's put this on rest for a little bit.
So you win the fight, and after the fight is over, was it immediately that you knew something was wrong?
Honestly, I had some adrenaline rush, and I did the post-fight press conference. Everything was fine. Just when I got back to the hotel room, man, I was throwing up and couldn't leave my room, and I was surprised that I even got on an airplane home. The doctors in Canada were like, how the heck did you get on an airplane home? Yeah, so it was scary times, man, and it took a lot of good mental strength to get out of it. And now I'm actually in a position where I'm super happy and I'm loving it. I got that whole color commentary role with Glory, which has been incredible.
Well, that's great. It's great that you found a way out of it. But man, I would imagine that when you were in that dark room and you couldn't even look at the light on a charger, that must have been really, really uncomfortable to deal with.
It was tough, man. And another like it's just the way, how can I explain it? It gets emotional sometimes, you know? It was a time where it was like, I finally achieved what I wanted, and no one has really gotten to that level in the time that I did. Before I turned pro, I only had 11 amateur fights. I only had 11 amateur fights, and right away into the pro ranks, I only had 14 professional fights. So you got to think, in 25 fights, I was able to get in there, become a professional, win, you know, the world title in the biggest kickboxing organization. All within 25 fights, amateur, professional combined.
And how old were you when you won the title?
28.
So you're still young. You know,
and I'm 31 right now.
But think about that, you know, like the amount of fights you had, not that many in comparison to a lot of these Dutch guys that have 100+ fights, a lot of the Thai guys that have more.
It's crazy to think, I think it's just bad luck sometimes. And my style was a style that was really, and man, you could watch any one of my fights and you're going to be entertained. And I understood the value of, you know, it's more than just a sport. You got to win, you got to dominate, you got to be exciting. And I think that's what I really did in my career, and that's what I got such a huge following behind me. And, you know, it's just, it was sucked because I had more I wanted to show, put it that way.
Now, when you see a guy like Mayweather who's gone through a career and he's like 49-0 and is probably one of the best, if not the best, defensive fighters of all time, and then you see what you went through with your situation, do you look at a guy like Mayweather and say, man, maybe I should take a different approach, or maybe I should have taken a more safety-first approach?
I'm torn between that because at one point, that's Floyd Mayweather, right? And you're looking at a guy who makes multi-millions a fight, and he has that support around him. And whether it's a boring fight, and most people who watch, the casual fans who watch Floyd Mayweather think he's boring. Right. But really, if you're a skilled fighter and you understand what he's doing, you understand how incredible of an athlete he is. But I was just thrown in there with the Wolves, man. It was kind of like, hey, you're fighting Kareem Gaji in your third glory fight. It's only his 100th professional fight, and that's my 8th. So what do? Do I play the point games with someone who's been in that ring, probably had 100 amateur fights, 100 professional fights? What do? So again, I have to go in there. I gotta build a name for myself. You gotta think, Canada, there's no professional fighting in Ontario, Canada, where I'm from. So there's no professional fighting. I had no experience. So my approach was, I gotta bring the heat to these guys.
Wow.
I gotta bring the heat. I gotta be exciting, and I gotta finish.
Just turn it into a brawl.
Just turn it in. But again,
Technical
I wouldn't
brawl.
use brawl. Yes,
Right.
yes. People always say, oh, you're a brawler, you're aggressive. Like, no, I'm a technician. And actually, when I'm coming forward and I'm stalking you, I'm waiting to counter kick. I'm waiting to use my low kicks. I'm waiting to counter you. So it's very calculated. I wouldn't say brawling.
Yeah, that's probably not the right word. But you turn them into very violent encounters.
Always.
Yeah.
Always.